Well, somebody else is welcome to go first if they want.
No, go ahead, Bob.
Well, aesthetics is the first thing I worried about with this road. Right now, if you were to ask, well, what's Bundy Canyon Road look like? Is there a country feel to it? When you go through those oak trees and you go down Bundy Canyon out there in Wildomar, you think, what a beautiful thing it is. Oak trees lining the road and a canopy over your head. This is the sort of thing that is an aesthetic appeal. While it's gone, I don't see anything in the report that replaces it aesthetically. See, you could take and replace it aesthetically by already planning certain types of plantings or a certain terrain contour or whatever, but did I miss that? Or is it not there? Well, okay, that's a rhetorical question because nobody's answering it right now. But so that's the first thing about this project is the aesthetics. I think are very important. I think they've been the damage to the aesthetics looks a little underestimated here in the environmental report. This thing about the species is another thing. I guess we're saying that as this thing develops along further, we're going to take another look to make sure we captured all the species and all the possible damage we might be doing to nature crossing. That doesn't make sense to me. The environmental report should have had all those things in it already. I hate to say something so peculiar, but where's my mountain lion surveillance? Mountain lions are there, and they travel right down across this road, and potentially they have a connection to the other mountain lion population down at the bottom. I don't see mitigation addressed for the mountain lions, and if there's not something that big, I wonder, did we catch everything? And I'm thinking we probably didn't, and so I just don't know that we did a complete enough job on the environmental nature part of this project. But I'll be happy to hear somebody talk about it. And finally, just to close up on noise, there's going to be some traffic noise, the construction of the road and so forth. I'm not really so much interested in that as I am in what's the permanent long-term noise from the fact that there'll be a lot more traffic on the road, as that man said. I think we may have underestimated the amount of noise that this project's going to bring. So those are three things about the environmental report that I don't think I got completely answered, and that maybe somebody can help me with now.
I'd be more than happy to answer some of those. I think I can handle these because I've read these reports, but I may look for a nod or two. Aesthetically, yes, there are definitely some oak trees that are impacted by this project. There's just no way around getting through, primarily over by Sunset. It's a lower area. As you recall, when we worked with the Oak Creek Development Project, we were able to do quite a few things. It's the same exact alignment as this. In fact, they took this alignment to design their track map for the 275 homes. And in fact, Bob and I went out there and looked at those. We tagged several trees that we think we can save. We've worked with their engineers in more proximity to salvage some more trees, so we'll do what we can on that. But as far as the aesthetic value, some of the contour feeling, that terrain conforming that we've talked about and plantings and the like, we believe that that's something that we can bring back to you. Not only that, but the aesthetics of the sound walls. We'd like to bring those to you at measured milestones through the improvement plan process, so that we can address and look at our corridor and what we would like to do to actually be able to make that corridor aesthetically pleasing. So that would be our first proposal, Councilman Cashman. The second item is on species. I believe that the report actually was correct. Yes, we are going to be required to come back and do some additional studies prior to construction. A lot of these mitigation measures were, this is what was identified at the time, That doesn't mean that there won't be other species that won't be there at the time we do construction. We will have to do that again. We will have to get the appropriate permits and get the appropriate approvals before we start construction. So we think we'll address those concerns. And then the final part is, not only will we have up at Sunset where we did the one crossing for Oak Creek, there will be 3 other crossings we'll provide. We know in the lower area where the first bend that we're cleaning up, there is some good mountain lion activity through there. We're working with other developers to preserve that wildlife corridor, and this project will do the very same thing to make sure we have a culvert that will allow folks to get under that. And then the final item that you brought up was noise. Gosh, you know, we definitely have noise receptors up and down that road when they did it. We have several that are like at 68 decibels, which is 3 right over our limit. Some of those we're actually putting in some retaining walls and sound walls, and then the rubberized asphalt. So that's really the best we can do for a 4-lane facility that's unregional in nature.
Yeah, Jeff?
Go ahead, Ben.
Going back to the species for a second. Dan, remind me, it seems like this is a common thing when builders come in, they have to do these final reports on any type of building activity. Right before they're actually doing another check for different species, especially like burrowing out, and at that point, that's the final numbers they use for all their mitigation. Correct on that? Is that what we're looking at here? So Bob, understand that this is a normal thing to look towards the end of this time period at what species are there, and that's when that final number comes together. So it's not like we're just deciding randomly at the end to look. So, you know, with that, I sit on RCA. We're buying up hundreds of acres inside the city to make a corridor for these animals to move from basically the southeast to the northwest, going right through Bundy Canyon here. That board sat in a study session about a year ago and actually put up on their screen a couple slides from the CIR complimenting the fact that these corridors were there, and not only there, but there was underneath the structure ways for the animals to pass so they could get through there. And mountain lions were actually part of that discussion then.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and trust me, mountain lions come up quite regularly. We have one member that likes to remind us every time a mountain lion kills somebody, or takes somebody, or hurts somebody. Most of the members want to know how they're doing. But anyhow, there's lots of different people on our side. So I'm happy to see this moving forward. George Taylor, you had a community forum at your house 4 years ago about this month, and I remember vividly one of the ladies from the farm telling me if that road does not get fixed, and she had an expletive in there I won't repeat, that she was going to take her washing machine and her dryer and put it on the road to stop traffic until it gets fixed, because it's not safe, we need more lanes, and it's unsafe in its current condition. I remember that. She was very excitable about that fact. This is something that we need to do. This is an arterial road. It's part of our TUMP network that's been looked at for years to be expanded. In fact, about a year before, 2 years before running for council, I actually sat down in a gentleman's office and he had a map on the wall of all the roads that TUMP network would improve, along with years on it. And it actually had Bundy Canyon listed as something that was supposed to happen in 2008. And then the economy took a dive. So, can we get this done? Yeah, but we have to get the EIR first. Now, the letter that came in that said that some of these items are old, most of them they complain because they're 4 years old. The one happens to be about 7 years old. These documents generally are good for about 10 years and acceptable to the court for that amount of time, because it takes sometimes 4 to 7 years to get these documents done, to get them to this point where we can have the opportunity to even vote on it. So for him to send a letter and say, hey, most of your documents are 4 years old, that's pretty tough. Most of the documents should be about 4 years old if they're done right. If they were done last week, I'd have problems with them. If they were done last year, I'd probably have questions about it. How can we put together that type of a solid document done in only that short amount of time? So this is something that I feel that we absolutely need to move forward on. I understand your concerns about noise. I lived for 7 years right off Bundy Canyon. I was a little further back. My driveway didn't look right onto the road. But I remember hearing those Jake brakes true. We can't have conversation, so hold on. My turn now. So, but one of my thoughts is, I'll bring it up at the end of the meeting for a new item, that we ought to look at a Jake brake ordinance, because that's something that I have heard of in other parts of the city too. And lots of cities have this, where you're in a city, you don't use your Jake brake, use your brakes. Yeah, it costs you a little more every once in a while to replace your brakes, but we shouldn't have to hear that noise coming through our city. This is a project that will mean a lot to the north end of town. It's an end of town right now that's sort of stifled from development because it has very few inter-access, and yes, this is going to bring development. But what this will bring to the north end of town is something more than just a jack-in-the-box to eat at. Something more than just one off-ramp, one little shop, two little gas stations. Yes, this will bring development. But it's development that people want to have, it's the people that own the property want to develop, it's people in that area want to be able to walk to those places and get their food and go to restaurants and be able to call their town home and not have to drive to Lake Elsinore or drive down to the other side of town to find something. So, should this move forward? Absolutely. Can we do it soon? Sooner than I expected if we really we get this going. This lawsuit from Gary Andre, and if you want to know, Gary Andre is the guy behind Alliance for Intelligent Planning, is it's irreprehensible because they're trying to stop a project like this with just a threatening lawsuit. It's just very upsetting. So with that, I would like to move approval of this and start moving forward.
I have
a few more comments too, so.
Yeah, I lived on Bundy Canyon for 17 years, and I bought there in '79, and it was an issue back then. We had multiple accidents. We had 30 when I lived on my property there. 30 people landed in my ponds, in my riding ring. 5 people got killed on that corner right by the Christian school there. More than just the accidents, everybody uses the road to get to Mount San Jacinto. When I was going to school way back in the day, I drove that road every day to go across to San Jacinto, in San Jacinto at that time, and then I never took any classes here, but it's a major artery for the area. We've been begging for this thing to happen for 35 years. We've been begging for this thing to happen. That's how long I've been around in this area. And it's finally come to fruition, and you have to, it makes no sense. People document dump all the time on us and bring things forward in the last 5 minutes before we start our meetings, you know, and threaten with a lawsuit. You know, Alliance for Intelligent Planning. I don't know where the intelligence comes from because it's the same group, Gary Andre and his cronies, and they do this all the time. And I'm sick of it. We're not going to put up with it. Hey, they're trying to stop us. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, they're done. They come in and they dump all this kind of stuff on us and think that we're, I mean, Riverside County has done their due diligence and did this thing, set this whole thing up. It took years to do this. We've been waiting for something like this, and all we're doing is taking it on as a little city saying, we're going to finish this thing so we can get this thing started and fixed. If you look, people that live on Bundy Canyon, if you go on the map and you see what's going up at the corner up there where it goes around the farm, the whole thing is shifting away from the houses right there. It's coming over, it's going straighter in front of the farm. It's going to be there's going to be a lot more buffer in there for the people that live right there in the Cottonwood Canyon area. This is a big change for our city. It's long overdue, and whether it causes more and more traffic, well, it will with new projects coming in or whatever. But massive amount, there's already massive amount. It's unbearable going down Bundy Canyon because it's a single, 2-lane road. So I'm excited that this thing has come forward. I think we're going to make the stand, and we're just going to say, hey, you know what? Document dump. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of them. And they're just going to keep coming. They do this on everything that we go for. Everything we bring up, they document dump, and they're going to sue us. You know what? Sue us. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm just getting tired of it. But we're going to fight on. That's what we do, and that's why we make the decisions. That's why we sit up here. So I'm all for it. You want to make a couple more comments, or back to Bob? Oh, wait. Mom needs to make some comments.
Mom needs to
Go
make
ahead,
some
Mom.
comments.
Yeah.
As you all know, I've lived out here a long time and used Bundy Canyon, and it is a safety issue. I think we all, if you've driven on Bundy Canyon, it is safety. It is also an issue for development for the area, not just for Wildomar, but for this whole area. Those people want to get down this direction or get over to Lake Elsinore, and this money is in the tump fees. We paid it, it's there. And if everything isn't ready to go, when the money's there, it's no-go. Ben has worked very hard to get to the position that he's in so that this money will go to that road. What we're doing tonight doesn't mean this road's going to be built by any means. But if we're ready for it to be built, if we're all in agreement that it needs to be built and that money is there and ready to go, I trust Ben. We've got a chance to get that money here and build it. This doesn't mean it's going to be built. We're talking 216, maybe before it even starts. But we've got to have our ducks in order or we're out of the game completely.
That's it.
And you will still have the noise on that little single lane because those trucks will still come right on through. If we can do something to mitigate the noise, we will. The no jake brake, that might be an answer. We don't want the noise either. Nobody on Bundy Canyon wants it. Nobody wants it by their house. But those improvements need to be done for the good of all, not just Wildomar, but all. And Bob, you said you had a couple more comments?
Yes, I do. And let's not forget that we've talked about how we're going to take care of the species problem and the aesthetics problem, the noise problem. These are problems that are real, and we do need to take care of them. So as this project moves along, assuming that it does, I'm believing our staff is going to be paying attention and letting us know what we can do to make these things better. And in particular, I'm interested in the species question, which apparently I know a lot of people are working on, but let's not forget any of these things. To me, one of the big issues about this is safety. You probably don't remember that I voted against certain projects because...
At this meeting?
No, before, because I felt Bundy Canyon was not a safe road to drive, and I didn't want any more housing developments along that road. Well, I still don't want any more along the road, but I think we need to take care of the safety. It's not really a safe road, and I hate to say it, but 2 of my own children had accidents on that road, so I know that it's not safe.
And Bob, there really are no safe crossings right now for the animals. I mean, it's going to make it safer for them too. They will have access to go under the road. And they learn very quickly. You know, right now their only access is running out on Bundy Canyon in front of a car or whatever or whoever. It's not safe for them either.
So I'm not looking at it for this as being the great road to bring lots of development into the area. I don't care if most of it stays half-acre minimum, 1 acre minimum, 5 acre minimum. But it is a road that I think is required.
But you can't pay for a road unless you have development.
Well, we can figure out something.
That's another debate for later.
We'll worry about that later.
But
Do we have a motion to bring this forward?
Well, I would like to make a motion. And my motion would be that I'd like to work with Bob on the aesthetics of species and noise, and as this project moves forward, all of us get together. And I know I will commit to getting together with staff, and you will too, and I wouldn't mind working with you. You are my backup on both those boards for the animal board, so I'd love to sit down and go over that together. So that's part of my motion. I will also like to include what the Saboba tribe's concerns and the Edison concerns. Now, the Saboba tribe's concerns, do I have to read that entire list? The list as noted earlier by Dan York.
Right, and again, 3 separate actions, the resolution on the EIR first, which is number 1.
All right, so the resolution on the EIR first, does that include those items that
That
Dan?
includes the item that Dan read into the record.
Okay, I would like to move that item.
Second.
Including what Dan?
Including what Dan, I think that's the 3rd time I've said, including what Dan said about Saboba and Edison.
Okay. This will be my second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion carries 4-0.